The first thing, the Landman Season 3 trailer doesn't just tease what's coming next. It quietly warns us. It looks calm, controlled, almost hopeful on the surface. But beneath that calm is the feeling that everything we watch Tommy build, lose, and rebuild is about to be tested in ways he can't escape this time. This trailer feels perfect not because it promises action, but because it understands something far more dangerous. Peace never lasts in Tommy's world, and every new beginning comes with a price. Season 3 begins in a strange emotional space for Landman, because for the first time in a long time, Tommy isn't reacting to disaster. He's standing in the aftermath of one. Season 2 ended with him walking away from an empire that never truly belonged to him and choosing something smaller, something more personal. The trailer reflects that shift immediately. There's no rush, no chaos thrown in your face. Instead, there's restraint, and that restraint feels intentional. Tommy has finally stepped out from under other people's control, but that freedom doesn't look triumphant. It looks cautious, it looks earned, and most of all, it looks fragile. What makes this trailer feel so powerful is how it frames starting over. For most characters, starting over is a hopeful idea. For Tommy, it feels like a gamble he doesn't fully trust. The weight he's been carrying for 2 seasons hasn't disappeared, it's just changed shape. Running CTT Oil with Cooper isn't about proving himself anymore. It's about protecting what little he has left. Family is no longer something running parallel to his work. It is the work now. And that makes every decision heavier than before. Because if he fails this time, there's no corporation to hide behind, no boardroom to absorb the damage. The consequences land directly on the people he loves. The trailer subtly reminds us that Tommy has never been comfortable with happiness. Even in moments that should feel like relief, there's hesitation in him. That same weary calm from the end of Season 2 lingers here, like a man who knows better than to celebrate too early. He's not chasing power anymore, but power still seems determined to find him. That's the tension at the heart of Season 3. Tommy wants distance from the world that nearly destroyed him, yet that world hasn't finished collecting what it's owed. Galino's shadow hangs over everything, even when he isn't on screen. The trailer doesn't need to spell out his plans because uncertainty is the threat. He represents the truth Tommy keeps trying to ignore, that some alliances never really end, they just wait. And the more Tommy tries to build something clean, something honest, the more exposed he becomes to people who don't play by those rules. The trailer understands that danger doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it waits patiently, smiling, letting you think you're safe. There's also an emotional shift in how the story positions everyone around Tommy. No one feels disposable. Every character seems to be standing at the edge of their own quiet turning point. Cooper's gift no longer feels like an advantage, it feels like responsibility he didn't ask for. Cammy's ambition still burns, but now it's sharpened by distance and unresolved conflict. The choices made in Season 2 didn't end relationships, they reshaped them. And Season 3 looks ready to explore what happens when people move forward without ever truly letting go of the past. What makes this trailer perfect is that it doesn't promise explosions or easy victories. It promises consequences. It suggests that Season 3 isn't about whether Tommy can survive. Well, we already know he can. It's about whether survival was enough or if it quietly set him up for the most painful fall of all. Starting over may have saved him once, but this time it might be the very thing that puts everything he loves directly in harm's way. As the trailer continues to unfold, it becomes clear that Season 3 is not interested in rushing forward. Instead, it lingers in the tension that comes after a major life change. When the adrenaline fades and reality starts asking harder questions, Tommy may have walked away from MTEX, but the world he left behind is still very much alive. And more importantly, it's still moving without him. That realization quietly reshapes the meaning of everything we see, because leaving doesn't mean escaping. Sometimes it just means watching from a closer, more vulnerable distance. CTT Oil exploration and cattle is supposed to represent freedom, a clean slate, a chance for Tommy to finally build something that doesn't belong to someone else. But the trailer subtly challenges that idea. Independence in this world doesn't come without pressure. In fact, it might come with more of it. When Tommy was running MTEX, he carried responsibility, but it was shared, diluted by corporate layers and political distance. Now every decision lands directly on him and Cooper. There's no buffer anymore. If something goes wrong, it's not just business, but it's personal. And the trailer leans heavily into that weight, letting it sit uncomfortably instead of dressing it up as success. Cooper's role in Season 3 feels especially important here. His instinct, once framed as a rare advantage, now feels like a burden passed down without consent. The trailer suggests that his talent is no longer just about potential profit, but about visibility. People are watching him, measuring him, and in a world like this, attention is dangerous. Tommy understands that better than anyone, and you can feel his fear, not in what he says, but in what he doesn't. Protecting Cooper isn't just about keeping him safe physically. It's about shielding him from becoming a tool for people who only see value, not family. Meanwhile, the absence between Tommy and Cammy is louder than any argument they ever had. The trailer doesn't need confrontation to remind us of what was lost. Their separation now feels ideological, not emotional. They represent two different philosophies moving in opposite directions. Cammy believes in control, expansion, and risk as a necessary cost. Tommy has seen where that road ends, and Season 3 positions their eventual collision not as revenge or betrayal, but as inevitability. When two people build different futures on the same foundation, conflict isn't a choice. It's physics. The offshore rig storyline looms quietly in the background, and that's what makes it unsettling. It's not framed as a spectacle, but as a countdown. Newsom heading into deep water carries the kind of uncertainty that can't be managed or negotiated. Everything Cammy has staked her authority on rests out there, unseen and unforgiving. The trailer treats that uncertainty with respect, allowing the audience to feel the tension of waiting rather than the thrill of action. Because sometimes the scariest moments aren't explosions. They're the seconds before you know whether you've won or lost everything. What truly elevates this section of the trailer is how it frames power. No one is fully in control anymore. Not Tommy, not Cammy, not Galino. Everyone is reacting to systems bigger than themselves, systems they helped create but can no longer steer. Season 3 seems determined to explore that uncomfortable truth, that power often feels strongest right before it slips away, and that starting over doesn't erase the past, it just forces you to confront it from a different angle. By the end of this part of the trailer, one thing becomes clear. Season 3 isn't building toward a single dramatic event. It's building pressure slowly, deliberately, and emotionally. The kind of pressure that doesn't explode all at once, but cracks people over time. And that makes what's coming feel not just dangerous, but unavoidable. The tension in Landman Season 3 isn't just external, it's internal. And the trailer makes that crystal clear. Tommy has always been a man driven by survival, instincts honed over years of navigating impossible situations. But the trailer suggests that survival alone won't be enough this time. Season 3 is asking a more personal question. Can he survive without losing himself in the process? Every shot, every moment carries that quiet anxiety. He's no longer just reacting to crises, he's anticipating them, calculating outcomes, and facing the heavy truth that foresight doesn't guarantee safety. Watching Tommy maneuver through this new chapter is like witnessing a master chess player who knows the board is rigged. And the stakes are no longer just his own life. The trailer also emphasizes that the world around Tommy is more interconnected than ever. Every action, no matter how small, carries consequences that ripple outward. Cooper's growing independence, once a promising subplot, now seems like a ticking clock. The trailer hints at how Tommy's protection of Cooper will force him into decisions that test his morality, patience, and trust. Every protective move he makes could inadvertently tighten the trap around him, proving that good intentions are rarely enough in a world built on leverage and hidden agendas. This theme of unintended consequences is threaded throughout the trailer, giving the story a sense of inevitability that's almost suffocating. Cammy's ambition and strategy also take center stage, adding a layer of suspense. Season 3 doesn't just paint her as an antagonist or rival, the trailer frames her as a force of nature. She isn't reckless but calculated, and every step she takes is measured to expand her influence. That creates a collision course with Tommy that feels almost fated. The trailer doesn't need to show their confrontation directly. The tension between their paths is enough. Their relationship now exists in a space of unspoken power struggles, mutual respect, and the quiet acknowledgement that both understand what's at stake. When they eventually clash, it will feel less like drama manufactured for spectacle and more like the natural outcome of two brilliant, determined forces operating in the same space. Galino's presence in the trailer is understated but profoundly menacing. He doesn't dominate the frame or demand attention. Instead, his influence is felt in the pauses, the glances, the choices Tommy hesitates to make. He represents the inevitability of danger in Tommy's life, the reminder that charm and patience can be just as deadly as violence. The trailer hints at his continued manipulations without spelling out his plans, which makes him even more unsettling. Season 3 seems set to explore the terrifying truth that the most dangerous people are often those who operate in silence, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The trailer also hints at the stakes for the broader Landman universe. Supporting characters like Ariana, Angela, and TL aren't just background players. Their journeys intersect with Tommy's in ways that create tension, moral complexity, and narrative depth. Cooper's relationship with Ariana, for example, adds emotional stakes that mirror the professional risks Tommy faces. Angela's longing for stability adds layers to the human element of the story, reminding us that the characters' personal lives are just as fragile and unpredictable as their business empires. Every subplot seems designed to mirror the central tension. When people try to start over, past choices never stop following them. By the end of this section of the trailer, one thing is clear: Season 3 is shaping up to be not just a continuation, but a transformation. The stakes are higher, the conflicts sharper, and the emotional complexity deeper. The trailer's brilliance lies in its subtlety. It doesn't rely on flashy sequences or dramatic reveals to engage the audience. Instead, it builds suspense quietly, letting us feel the weight of every decision and the looming consequences. Landman Season 3 isn't just about Tommy's next chapter, it's about the inevitable price of the choices that define him, the people around him, and the fragile empire he's trying to protect. What truly defines the Landman Season 3 trailer is how it reframes risk. In earlier seasons, risk was loud and visible, deals gone wrong, power plays, open threats. Now, the danger feels quieter, almost invisible. The trailer suggests that Season 3 will be built around choices that seem reasonable in the moment, but slowly tighten into traps. Tommy is no longer fighting fires, he's walking through a field where every step might ignite something he can't put out. And that shift makes everything feel more suspenseful than outright chaos ever did. Tommy's biggest challenge this season isn't an enemy with a name or a face, it's time. Time to make the right decisions before pressure forces his hand. Time to protect his family before opportunity turns into exposure. The trailer leans into this idea that hesitation can be just as dangerous as recklessness. Every pause feels loaded. Every silence carries weight. Season 3 appears ready to explore what happens when a man known for instinct starts second-guessing himself, not because he's weak, but because he finally understands what he has to lose. Family remains the emotional core of the story, but the trailer refuses to romanticize it. Protecting family doesn't bring peace, it brings vulnerability. Cooper's growing confidence places him directly in the line of sight of people who don't care about loyalty or blood. The more capable he becomes, the more exposed he is. And Tommy knows this. The trailer captures the quiet dread of watching someone you love step into a world you've spent your life trying to survive. This isn't a coming-of-age story, it's a warning about inheritance, not of wealth, but of danger. Cammy's storyline continues to sharpen the season's central conflict. She isn't portrayed as someone chasing power blindly, she's chasing validation. Proof that her choices were right, that removing Tommy wasn't a mistake. The offshore gamble represents more than oil, it represents control. And the trailer suggests that control, once tasted, becomes addictive. Her path and Tommy's are no longer emotionally tangled but strategically opposed, and that makes their eventual confrontation colder, more dangerous, and far more personal than before. The world of Landman in Season 3 feels smaller and bigger at the same time. Smaller because relationships are tighter, more intimate, and harder to escape. Bigger because the consequences now stretch further than ever. A single mistake can ripple across families, companies, and futures. The trailer communicates this scale without spectacle. trusting the audience to feel the weight rather than be told about it. That confidence is what makes it so effective. By this point, the trailer has made one thing painfully clear. Season 3 will not reward good intentions. It will reward awareness, restraint, and sometimes the willingness to make choices that feel wrong in the moment. Tommy's journey is no longer about climbing back up. It's about deciding what he's willing to sacrifice to stay standing. And the most unsettling question the trailer leaves us with is this: when the moment comes, will he recognize the line he swore he'd never cross, or will survival blur it beyond recognition? The first thing the Landman Season 3 trailer doesn't just tease what's coming next. It quietly warns us. It looks calm, controlled, almost hopeful on the surface. But beneath that calm is the feeling that everything we watch Tommy build, lose, and rebuild is about to be tested in ways he can't escape this time. This trailer feels perfect not because it promises action, but because it understands something far more dangerous. Peace never lasts in Tommy's world, and every new beginning comes with a price. Season 3 begins in a strange emotional space for Landman, because for the first time in a long time, Tommy isn't reacting to disaster. He's standing in the aftermath of one. Season 2 ended with him walking away from an empire that never truly belonged to him and choosing something smaller, something more personal. The trailer reflects that shift immediately. There's no rush, no chaos thrown in your face. Instead, there's restraint, and that restraint feels intentional. Tommy has finally stepped out from under other people's control, but that freedom doesn't look triumphant. It looks cautious, it looks earned, and most of all, it looks fragile. What makes this trailer feel so powerful is how it frames starting over. For most characters, starting over is a hopeful idea. For Tommy, it feels like a gamble he doesn't fully trust. The weight he's been carrying for 2 seasons hasn't disappeared, it's just changed shape. Running CTT Oil with Cooper isn't about proving himself anymore. It's about protecting what little he has left. Family is no longer something running parallel to his work. It is the work now. And that makes every decision heavier than before. Because if he fails this time, there's no corporation to hide behind, no boardroom to absorb the damage. The consequences land directly on the people he loves. The trailer subtly reminds us that Tommy has never been comfortable with happiness. Even in moments that should feel like relief,